Have you clicked? Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. We are here every Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST, to discuss everything that has anything to do with SEO and GEO or AEO, whichever you prefer at this point. I think we have just two left, so there will be one winner at some point. I actually use both, and I will explain today and next time why, because I do have different context for that. But first, let me introduce myself and my co-host, who keeps appearing and disappearing. I'm Anne Smarty. I am an SEO and have been an SEO for more than 20 years, unbelievably. So I've been through that all, and I guess this is the most exciting time and also the most challenging time to be an SEO, because we have to figure out a lot, and I don't think anyone has any answers. So we started these live streams to try and get a little bit of clarity, at least understanding of what's going on, how it is new or old to what we've been doing traditionally for years, and where it's all going. I guess I will not have the answers to that latter part. I don't know where it's all going, and I don't think anyone does. But at least I can speak about SEO from experience. April is trying to join us. She's my co-host, as well as we both work for Smarty Marketing, and so she's our director of social, and she is not as deep into SEO as I am, so she's able to ask questions that might reflect what you are wondering about as well. Feel free to ask your questions. In most cases, we should be able to see them here, whichever platform you are using to watch us. We stream to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to X, to LinkedIn, to YouTube, to Facebook. However, wherever you are watching us from, feel free to just post a comment and we should be able to see it and answer today. April, I already introduced you. Welcome back. So what we're going to discuss today is the first part of 2-week live stream that I'm planning. Today we are focusing on citations, AI citations. If you ever prompt Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, even Perplexity, I guess. I haven't checked that for a few weeks, but as far as I remember, it also gives citations. Those are clickable links that are supposed to actually cite the sources of the answer. It is not as straightforward as it sounds, because sometimes they do not cite what the actual sources. Sometimes whatever has been used for the answer is not cited, so it's not like what you see is everything that has been used for the answer. For more citations types, please go ahead to ansmarty.com. This is my newsletter, and the previous episode and the video was exactly about different types of citations. So today is kind of the continuation of this topic. Next week, mark in your calendars and subscribe to ansmarty.com to be invited via email box. Next week, we will be actually discussing how the AI answers work overall. Citations part is just one step and not the first one in generating the answer. So it will be an interesting discussion. Some people disagree with me on that, and I'm okay with that because we really don't know. No LLM will tell us exactly what is going to happen, but this is what I've been gathering for quite a few months from different experts, from just watching those AI answers generating, from reading documents, all of that studies. So we do have some insight, maybe not 100% correct, but it's an interesting topic. So please join us next week. We will be discussing the whole AI answer generation process and which gaps in data we have at each step, what is used to optimize for each step, because there are quite a few. And at that point, both GEO and AEO will be discussed as well. Today, it's mostly AEO. This is answer engine optimization. How to optimize for citations, for being cited is actually on page in most cases, on page work there. So let's go right in that. For this, I was using a different study by Cyrus Shepard, who collected, I forgot how many, hundreds of studies, patents, documents on the topic of what it takes to get cited. And then based on how many times each tactic was discussed in how many documents, Cyrus actually rated all the tactics that can be used, can be impactful for citations. I took his study that was published 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and tried to explain how new each tactic is for SEO, and if it's pure SEO or if we are need to start doing something differently. Again, andsmarty.com is where the whole study lives, and my explanations and the screenshot of the rating. So go ahead and check that out. So interesting. I was using benefit of a doubt in some cases, and even when I didn't think the tactic is particularly new for SEO, I would give it a little bit of less percentage of being SEO, just because it's more discussed these days. So we think it's more important these days. Again, there is no hard data there. It's not like you do 1, 2, 3 and you get cited this many times. Nothing like that happens. So it's a little bit vague on many levels, but we try to make it very actionable and very tactical, basically. Again, it's just for citations. Citations is not, being cited is not the most important part of AI optimization, for sure. We want to be in the answer itself, not as the URL, but as the brand, as the solution. And this is what we're going to discuss next week. Today, we're talking about just clickable links within AI answers. So let's dive right in. I will use my own newsletter because there are quite a few tactics to discuss. First of all, URL accessibility. The most fundamental part, purely technical SEO. If we want Google to rank us, their bots has to be able to enter our website and crawl and index our URL. If sometimes even without crawling, but they can still reference your URL, by the way. But the URL needs to be fully accessible. What is controlling accessibility of search crawlers to the URL? It's robots.txt, it's robots meta tags. In both, we need to make sure those bots that we want to come to our website are allowed to come. It's 100% SEO. Yes, we have more bots to deal with to allow or disallow to our website, but it's still SEO, meta tags, SEO robots.txt. It's not as straightforward as it once was, because at this point, not all of those bots will actually honor your directives in robots.txt, or they may use you can allow your Google bot to your website, but disallow ChatGPT bot to your website. ChatGPT can still get the information that it can see in Google. So it will not, without accessing your page, it may still be able to use it and cite it. So it's a little bit more vague now, but it's still 100% SEO data that is playing a role here. Number 2, organic rankings. Cyrus didn't tell us which organic rankings we are talking about at this point, but it is, of course, pure SEO, whichever search engine you are talking about, whether it's Bing, whether it's Google, how many else we have, Brave, they are all still 100% as traditional SEO. So we'll give it two top most influential criteria to get cited is pure SEO. Now let's go down. Fan out rank. Where you rank for the fan out queries. If you don't know what fan out queries are, I think they're also called grounded queries or ground queries. Anyways, when an LLM, when you prompt ChatGPT or anything else, it will often search, but it will not search for your prompt. It will search for something it thinks will be useful to answer your question. So they are using their own search queries. And if you rank for those search queries, you will have higher chances of being cited. I would say this is also traditional SEO, keyword-driven SEO, but because there are fan-out queries that work a little bit differently than people's queries, I'm sure we don't have any hardcore research on that, but from just experience of looking at those fan-out queries on ChatGPT or Gemini, I would say they look different than what a human being would search for. So let's say it's, 90% SEO at least, because it's still keywords, it's still search queries, and it's still search engine. So it's still organic rankings there. So top 3 are mostly SEO. Now, preview control, what you allow a search engine to show their users. Also SEO, you can direct Google or any other search engine not to show a lot of your content to people. We don't know how much LLMs will actually ever pay attention to those, but because you control your search previews in Google, it will impact AI answers as well because they search Google. So I would say this is 100% SEO. If we talk a little bit in more detail here, I know Google would suggest if you don't want your content to be shown in AI overviews, use max snippet code or something. So if we just talk about Google products, Gemini, AI mode, AI views, those settings may be just for LLMs. I don't think ChatGPT really pays attention. So it is a little questionable, but those are SEO tags, pure SEO tags. I give this 100% SEO. Query answer match. Your page should match both the search query and the AI answer. I really don't clearly understand what that means, but I would say this is common sense content optimization. Because there is a lot more emphasis on semantic relevance, we talk more about things like that. I would say 95% of that is SEO, but again, this is my personal evaluation. Keep in mind, I don't clearly really understand this particular item. 6, intent match. Been a while, for sure. We always knew that if the search query is asking for best options, we need to create a listicle for that, even if we have those best options as one product. Is it the best option overall? It's clear that people wanted to consider more options, so we would list more options. So it kind of existed for a while, but I would still think that with LLMs searching, understand intent much better than people. People may search for something random without clearly understanding what they need. LLMs definitely know what they are searching for. So I would think that intent is a little bit, it's also micro intents. If it's comparison, it's comparison. If it's a list, it's a list. So those micro intent optimization is probably more important for LLMs because they may pick your page just because they know they need a list, and that's why they will pick and cite it. In Google, it would be human being making a choice. They are very easily distracted. They may not understand they need a lot of options even if they search for plural. So you would be good, you would be well ranking and getting traffic even with less attention to this, to micro intent optimization. That's my way of referring to it. For LLMs, probably more important, at least 20% of that is GEO or AEO. I'm confusing my own terminology here. So let's say it's about 20% of that AEO or whatever you call it. Topic cluster ranking. You want to rank for a lot of related keywords. More important for GEO has always been important for SEO, but I feel like it is more important with LLMs searching because they just search more. And they fan out on a lot of weird, vaguely related queries, and we want to capture all of that as much as possible. So without trying to guess their fan out queries, your best way to show up for more LLM searching is to kind of keep in mind a lot more related queries than you would have done in previously. So I would say about 45-50% of AI optimization here for sure, AI SEO. I will not list all of this. I would say that a lot of that AI-ready structure, those are headings, factually specific answers, and explicit phrasing. This is when you confidently and concisely answer the question. Those three have been around for featured snippet optimization. I would say they are a little bit more important for LLMs. For LLMs, we almost need to be more clear and more precise and more factual for them to like the answer. So it is definitely more important for SEO for AI than for traditional SEO. As far as I'm concerned, we have to pay more attention on the copy, its structure, clarity, its factual, its citations is another thing that it seems like more important for SEO for AI than for SEO. For traditional SEO, whoever you reference, I don't think we've ever had any confirmation that worked in any way. For LLMs, I think we do have a few very scientific research studies that would show, yes, if you reference someone that they trust, they are more likely to cite you and trust you. So those things have been around for as long as I can remember, but I would say for LLMs, it is more important. Finally, one thing, freshness is another thing that everyone is talking about. Very hard to tell here since LLMs are searching Google, and if Google thinks that fresh content, like if the query deserves fresh content, LLMs would pick that up. So that bias could be from pure SEO. Another thing that another interesting opinion that I've heard about that is that LLMs search to find fresh data because they already have existing training data. So they only search if they need something fresher. So their bias to freshness is a little bit obvious. Otherwise, they wouldn't be searching if they had all the fresh data already. So that bias can be purely AI or can be driven by SEO. We really don't know. I would say it's 50-50. It's important to everyone when it makes sense. Not every intent is about freshness. Some people want answers, some people want other types of help, and it's not always about freshness. In SEO, we had a very cool concept as the query deserves freshness. So some of the queries just deserve more fresh content than the others. So it's not like for everything. Don't rush to update your landing pages with a new date. It's not working like that. Some queries just deserve more freshness than the others, and LLMs seem to pick up in some cases fresh results, either it's from Google or however it works. I've never seen a fan out query that would say search within a day or in May 2026. I never seen them actually trying to find something fresh. The only thing that I've seen, they would add year, but not always. If you ask them prompt that kind of has an intent of showing that I need something new, they would definitely add the current year to the fan out query, showing that they are trying to find something more fresh. But other than that, I didn't see they were actively trying to find something recent on your question. So I don't have an opinion there. I would say it's 50-50. It's when it makes sense. Finally, brand entity. Do you have a brand? In Cyrus research, it comes up number 16. It's interesting because in my opinion, that's fundamental, should definitely be one, but that's my opinion. I think that the most challenging part of this is how do you measure brand? All these studies, all these research papers are very statistical, mathematical. How do you measure a brand for it to become a factor here? It is not easy. This is the only reason I see why this comes up by the end of the most influential citation rankings. I would say also, even from ChatGPT, when you search it for when you prompt it for something, it will search certain publications or brands that it knows. So I would say it's the number one for sure. The only difficulty here is how do we measure? How do we measure the brand? It is we've been asking that question for years. I think Moz was the only one that tried to measure brands and to rank them by brand score. I haven't looked for a while. I don't think it's that easy. So it is very not measurable that much. That's why it's not on top of this list. What's else interesting here? Word count, of course. We've been debating on that for SEO for years. For LLMs, it sounds a little more important, a little more straightforward, because we've seen quite a few studies that would show that LLMs do not read much. So for huge, long guides, they would only read the top third of it. So it sounds like it's more important for LLMs. And also schema also comes up at the bottom of that tactical list. It is still, there were a few studies that did find the correlation between schema and LLM visibility. My own understanding of how this could have happened is that first, rich snippets that are schema driven are clicked more, rank higher. That's why they get cited more, because LLM search. Or overall, if a website has schema, it's higher chances that it is more SEO aware, and so they would be better optimized and they would rank better, and consequently there will be more LLM visibility. We've discussed this before. I have nothing against schema. I don't participate in those very heated fights on Reddit and elsewhere when someone says schema is 100% of your success. There will be always the crowd that would say no, or vice versa. To me, it's always like, if you want to use schema, please do. It doesn't hurt. It's just a very little signal, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I've seen so far, both for SEO unless that's rich snippets, and LLM visibility. It's a very little factor that we really don't know if it's working or not. I would say LLMs ignore it from my testing at least, but go ahead and use it. I would say if there is a little correlation that it's helpful, go ahead. I just don't want you to over expect results, because in my experience, it's not as much of a needle mover. That was a lot a lot to discuss. I skipped a few of those tactics. Go ahead and smarty.com and check them out. This is a very tactical approach to LLMs. Next week we will explain why technical approach is not so much effective for GEO or LLM visibility overall. But tactics are great. It's something to play with. So go ahead and play with some of those, especially those higher on the list. And April, we have a few minutes for a couple of questions because I've been talking for too long.
We actually just got a question from JD Milburn.
What industries are using GEO? I would say everyone should be at least informed and concerned about this topic. Absolutely, B2B as software as a service. All those industries, businesses are much more affected by SEO because these are tech-savvy people who are more likely to use ChatGPT or something to actually ask for recommendations, do product research. We did consumer research survey a few weeks ago to ask actual Americans that buy online if they're using ChatGPT or any other LLM platform to make buying decisions. The percentage is very low there. The vast majority of US consumers are using still Google and Amazon for buying online. So I would say this sector is not as much impactful, but it doesn't mean that they need to ignore what's going on, because it's not going to stop. It's going to be adopted better. It's going to evolve. So paying attention and doing something now would definitely help you in the future. But tactical things are absolutely more important for more technology-based businesses, where those decision makers are very likely to ask an LLM for product recommendations, and you want to be there.
I have a question going way back in the beginning. You mentioned like important, like the number one thing is like making sure your URLs are accessible. Like, how do you make sure they're accessible?
Much like I said, it's not as straightforward as it used to be. I would definitely make sure it is first accessible for Google. And here, the best tool for that is Search Console. Go ahead. There is a URL inspection tool, which I'm definitely using most of the time for every client to check their any strange things happening to traffic on new landing pages, on new content. You can put your URL there, and Google will tell you exactly if it can access the page, and if it cannot, it will tell you why. So that would be fundamental. For all other LLM bots that exist out there, I would definitely keep an eye on your log file. This is the file that records which bots are entering your page and doing something there. If you don't see any OpenAI or Claude bots there, I would be concerned and look more into that. The problem here is that not all there are methods outside of on-site meta tags and robots.txt files. There are external methods that can block bot access. hosting, cloud related blogs. Cloudflare has its own filters that can by default disallow those bots to enter your website. So it's not as easy at this point, but definitely start with Google and also learn to find your log files. I really don't know how to do that. I have a dev team who is managing that for me. But in most cases, that should be pretty easy if you can access your hosting dashboard, which I definitely cannot. I haven't been there for a while. So I would not give you actual suggestions where to look. But do keep an eye on that file at least on a monthly basis. And I think we're running out of time here. Let's all agree that next week we will be discussing a little bit higher level, not content guidelines here, how actually AI answers are generated. I will do my best to make sure it's very easy to understand, because everyone still thinks it's a huge mystery what is happening there. Everyone is confused, so I will do my best to be very clear there, but it is not as tactical because it's much higher level. So if you want to know how those work, please join us next week 1 p.m. ST and subscribe and smarty.com, and also join me on Reddit, SEO for AI subreddit. We have a lot of places to keep in touch, but we are into this together. Thank you so much, April. Thank you for your questions and joining us. See you next week and have a great week, everyone. Thank you.